All right, so I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. My name is Bonnie Stein, and I am the co-op coordinator down at Crawford County Career and Technical Center. And I run out of the Career Center, and I run two programs. I run a capstone co-op, and then I run Diversified. And we will explain that in a little bit further here. And go ahead, this is Phil.
Hi, I'm Phil Askins at Erie High School. I'm the co-op coordinator, and I run the capstone program.
Okay, so just to give you an overview, the difference between capstone co-op and diversified. I run both of them, and so the students that choose to come to the CTC, those are considered capstone. And Phil, go ahead and explain some of the criteria for capstone.
Some of the criteria for capstone, you would get enrolled into a program related to the program you are in at school. So if you were in machining at school, then you would go into that area. And some of the different things that we make it requirement is students have to be passing all their grades, all their classes, I'm sorry, and also be in good standing.
Okay. So I do believe capstone is for 12th graders only, because we cap off what they have learned in the Career Center. So sometimes some of the programs are 3-year and some of the programs are 2-year. I do believe that in both schools, you have to have approval from the instructor. Is that correct, Phil? Yes. So the instructor has to say that that student is ready to go out into the workforce. So that's basically one of the first steps. One of the second steps would be the student, when we're placing them in the workforce, we need to find out the student's age. If a student is under the age of 18, then we have to have clearances that are on file for the supervisor who is in charge at the work site. Phil, you want to talk about the clearances?
Yeah, the clearances, there's 3 clearances. There is child abuse, which is Act 158. Also, there is fingerprints, and there's also a disclosure that we can take if in the workplace where you've been in PA for 10 years and have a clean record with no felonies. And then the third one is a criminal record that we take. It's Act 34.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so those we need to then, as coordinators, we'd reach out to the company that the student comes to us and says, hey, I'd like to work at a company. And then we find out if the supervisor that's going to be in charge of that student is able to get their clearances or willing to get their clearances. And then we would help facilitate that. And then we have to have those on file at the school office, all 3 clearances before we can proceed. So that's one of the steps. The second step is that the student needs to be paid. I know that both capstone and the capstone I run, the student must be paid. The state says it has to be at least $725, and it has to be on payroll, and taxes need to be taken out. It cannot be a 1099. So the student needs to be paid, and then because we require in both programs, I do believe up at Erie and Crawford, we have to have a pay stub, because we have to see the taxes and we have to document the hours being worked. So that brings to our hours. Go ahead, Phil. What about hours at Erie?
Correct. Hours at Erie, our capstone program requires to at least work 15 hours a week. And those hours that the instructor is available for supervision. So the supervisor has to be there while the student's there or nearby in the vicinity, as we talk, to get the work accomplished.
Okay. So those are the hours. They can work more than that because when they're on a training agreement and training plan, they can work above that. But we can go into that in a little bit more detail with the student and the employer. And then another thing is that we as co-op coordinators, we have to be out on site at least every 30 days to talk with the supervisor and to see that the student is progressing and that they're having a positive work experience. And we just have to document on paper that we have communicated that. Phil, do you have anything to add?
I always ask them also if there's any questions, any concerns related to the student.
All right, and so then at that time, if there is a problem, we can then set up a meeting and we can then sit down and talk, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a student become full-time, hopefully, and responsible young an employer. Minimum wage, I'm trying to think, oh, we have to talk about workman's comp, correct, Phil?
Right.
Where we place them?
Mm-hmm. Every organization that we place a co-op student at must have workman's comp and updated.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say we have to have that on file, and that's just basically that they have workman's comp liability insurance. And again, that is our job to seek that out, but we can't place a student in a place that does not have that. So that is set up by the guidelines from the state. And then the students, if they're interested when they come in, most of the time they are PM because they're enrolled in the afternoon. It is possible to go out on co-op in the AM, but we have to sit down and look at their schedule and see if that's possible. Phil, is there anything that I missed on placement?
No, our schedule is a little different. We have like A days and B days. So
Okay.
some students can go out longer certain days than others. It's kind of like an every other day. And so they're not gone the whole afternoon. They're gone a quarter of the afternoon for some days, and then half the day. And we do have some, very few, that can go out in the morning.
Okay. So depending on the school, I guess it's depending on when you're released from high school to go directly to work. And also to another requirement at Crawford is that you have a driver's license, because you do need to get to the job and you have to show that you have insurance. Phil, you're shaking your head. Is that the same in up at Erie?
It is the same. You have to find your own transportation to and from work.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you get paid and you get a grade for being out on co-op. So it's a win-win situation for the employer and actually for the student. You're paid and you get credits. So we have a co-op class that goes along with this. For capstone, we're talking capstone. That is every 2 weeks. Every other week, they need to come back to the classroom and they need to sign in, and we have a lesson with them. And we go over certain criterias, and then we also have safety issues we address. Phil, go ahead and talk about your lessons that you have with your students.
We address some of actually one of them that we usually hit is behavior in the workplace. We talk about safety in the workplace. I think communication's a big one we discuss, and also time management, because they have to get used to working and going to school, and sometimes it's challenging for some students.
Great. So just as long as you know, you will return back to the classroom, and also too, it gives a good time for the capstone students to then go and see and communicate and stay in touch with their instructor at the Career Center. So that way they can get prepared for their NACA exam, and they stay in touch if there's anything the instructors want them to do. Mm-hmm. So that's another ask point of our capstone. I
send little check sheets out with my students to make sure they are checking with their instructor on what they're supposed to accomplish, when NACA is, and how to study for it.
Great. So again, it is a win-win for both the student and the employer. Students earn while they learn. It gives employment opportunities, and it teaches the students responsibility. It develops really work experience, work skills that they could take anywhere that they would go. And hopefully with the capstone students, hopefully there's a possibility of full-time employment afterwards. And Phil, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sometimes the opportunity comes up and they go and find a way into the workplace. Example is we've had a student here, and we usually hold us, I don't know if everybody's probably heard of them already, of a signing day. And a lot of our co-ops go out, and whether it be, we had one apprenticeship program. He's actually doing that this year, finishing it. As he graduated, he rolled right into it. Also, I've had students go that I always try to get the students to go that extra mile. For our auto mechanics, we have students try to get their inspection license. So we're trying to focus on that and get them out there. And we have a couple students that have done that and gone on their own way and accomplished that. We also have a couple students out in machining. They're doing fantastic. There's one that graduated last year, and she's doing a great job. She enjoys it, and that was her lab at school, so she's doing has a great opportunity at a company here in Erie.
Okay, great. So again, it is a win-win situation for both the student, the employer, and the school itself. It's the three coming together and fulfilling the gap that is needed out there. Just real quick, I'm going to touch on diversified. I do not believe that this is available at Erie High. Is that correct, Phil? Okay. Correct. So down in Crawford County, if you are a student that did not choose to come to the Career Center and you are in your senior year and you're looking at possibly going out to work, there is a program called Diversified Occupations, and I do run that portion of co-op. And again, you have to make sure you have enough credits to graduate, or with the credits that you would receive from me that you would first be able to graduate. We look at that. And again, the job that you go into, it's something other than what we offer here at the Career Center. So it's again, something that we're not offering, or that enrollment is full and then I can place you. There are certain jobs that I can't place you in because of child labor laws, but I won't go into that. But I will sit down individually. If that's an opportunity that you think that you might want to explore, I can have that conversation with the student, the parent, and maybe the guidance counselor, and we can go a little bit further. But again, basically it's the same. You have to be paid at least minimum wage. We like to see 15 hours that they have to at least work. You have to have, the place has to have workman's comp. I would have to do a job site visit on site every 30 days. And again, diversified, I have a class once a week. And that's kind of important because a lot of students don't understand. That's what's set up by state, and they must come to class once a week with me here at the Career Center. And it can be a win-win situation, and it gets the students out working. Again, those wonderful work skill, employable skills, they're learning that. It's community relations, and it creates community involvement between the school and the student and parent and myself. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me here at Crawford County Career and Technical Center. My name is Bonnie Stein, co-op coordinator. And go ahead, Phil, I'll let you.
My name is Phil Askins from Erie High School. I just want to say also, I think that the co-op program is a way to actually kind of fill that gap where the students go on co-op and then they go right into the field. So it's kind of like a win-win situation for both, like we were discussing.
Great. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to get a hold of us. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.